Hey there, and welcome back. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I want to make my assets invisible? Am I planning to disappear? Is this a magic trick? Well, no, you won't be pulling a Houdini act. But you might be removing your name from your assets, and today we're going to talk about why and how you might want to do that, and even the pros and cons that come along with it. Stick with me, because I'm about to show you how making your personal assets invisible could actually protect your wealth, reduce your liability, and help you live a more private life, if you play your cards right. But, and here's the twist, there are also some big risks involved, and you'll need to weigh those carefully. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether making your assets invisible is a financial strategy you want to try, or if you'd rather keep your name out there in the open like a good law-abiding citizen. Let's dive in, but first, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share with your friends who are curious about making their assets a little harder to find. Ready? Let's go. All right, first things first, let's break down what we mean by making your assets invisible. Basically, it's all about removing your personal name from things that you own. This can apply to things like your home, vehicles, bank accounts, and even your business. Why would you want to do this? Well, there are a few reasons. One big reason is privacy. In today's world, everything is online, and there's a lot of interest in personal information. People might want to know who owns what, whether that's nosy neighbors, potential creditors, or even hackers. By keeping your name off assets, you can make it much harder for people to track your wealth or come after your things. It's like installing a high-tech security system on your financial life, except instead of cameras, you're using legal tools to create a little privacy fortress around your stuff. Cool, right? Another reason to consider making your assets invisible is protection. This strategy is often used by people who are worried about lawsuits or creditors. By putting your assets in trusts or corporate entities, you can potentially shield them from being taken in the event of a lawsuit or legal dispute. This strategy is not foolproof, but it's a common approach. Think of it as putting your favorite toys in a locked box and handing the key to someone else. Not that we're calling your home a toy, but you get the idea, okay? So now that we know why people might want to make their assets invisible, let's get into how you can do it. There are several strategies for pulling this off, so let's go through each of them step by step. One of the most common methods is creating a trust. A trust is a legal arrangement where you transfer the ownership of your assets to a third party, called a trustee, who manages them on behalf of your beneficiaries. In essence, you're no longer the direct owner of the assets, the trust is. So let's say you transfer the title of your home or car into the name of a trust. Technically, the trust owns the property, not you personally. This can make it harder for anyone to track down your personal assets, and it can offer some level of protection against creditors or lawsuits. It's kind of like setting up an invisible fence around your assets. It's there, but no one can see it. And just like your pet, financial stuff is safely contained, you're not the one on the leash. Another option is using an LLC, limited liability company, or a corporation. This is especially common for real estate investors or small business owners. You can transfer assets like property or business ownership into a company, essentially making the company the legal owner. Let's say you own a rental property. Instead of having the property in your name, you could transfer it to an LLC. Now, the LLC is the owner, and if someone sues the LLC, they can't go after your personal assets, only what's within the LLC. That's where the liability protection comes into play. Imagine your personal assets are the crown jewels, and your LLC is the Royal Guard, keeping them safe and sound. The best part? The Royal Guard doesn't care if you trip over your own feet. They'll still protect your wealth. Let's talk about land trusts, specifically for real estate investors. A land trust is a legal arrangement where you transfer ownership of a piece of property to the trust, but you still retain control over the property's management. Here's the kicker. The name of the trust owner doesn't have to be publicly recorded, so the ownership of the property is kept private. This can be super helpful if you want to keep your property ownership invisible to the public. It's kind of like using a cloak of invisibility for your house. Just don't expect it to protect you from a real-life mortgage payment. Sadly, we're not in Hogwarts. Okay, now that you know how to make your assets invisible, it's time to weigh the pros and cons. Let's talk about when this strategy makes sense and when it might not be the best idea. First, let's focus on the good stuff. The biggest advantage to making your assets invisible is the protection it offers. If someone tries to sue you or take your assets for any reason, it's much harder for them to get their hands on anything if it's not in your name. So this strategy can help reduce your financial liability. Another advantage is privacy. If you don't want the whole world to know what you own, this method keeps your personal information off the radar. You get to live life without worrying about nosy neighbors or people tracking your every move. It's like having a secret life, except without the weird part. Just a lot more peace of mind. Of course, there are also some downsides to consider. One big con is the cost and complexity of setting these strategies up. Whether you're setting up a trust, forming an LLC, or using a land trust, you're going to have legal fees and paperwork involved. It's not just a quick process, so you'll need to plan accordingly. Also, not every asset can be easily transferred to a trust or LLC. There are restrictions depending on what kind of asset you're trying to protect, so make sure you check with a lawyer or financial advisor to see if this is feasible for your situation. Also, remember, just because your assets are invisible doesn't mean they're invincible. You'll still have to pay taxes, and the government doesn't like being left out of the party. So, don't think you're getting away scot-free. So, there you have it. Making your personal assets invisible can be an effective way to protect your wealth, maintain privacy, and avoid unnecessary risks. But, like any strategy, it comes with its own set of challenges and costs. So make sure to consult a financial expert to see if it's the right move for you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who are interested in protecting their assets. And, as always, drop a comment below if you have any questions or personal experiences with asset protection. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and remember, smart financial decisions today lead to more peace of mind tomorrow. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.